Hey, welcome to Dan's Model Works, and today we're in the main workshop as opposed to the hobby bench. Not because we need the big saw to do what we're doing, but because the hobby bench is occupied. So we're putting together one of these Photo-Etch kits, and it's the original series USS Enterprise, NCC 1701. I don't think we need any more introduction than that. This kit is supposed to be age 14 and up, and let's see if me, age 46, and my daughter Marcie, age
15,
can put this together. This is what Marcie wanted for Christmas, so I have heard from others that these things can be pretty difficult. Now, forgive us for having started without showing off all the parts. This bizarre twisted bit hopefully is going to be the main hull, and we'll give you some idea of what the instructions are like here. So, can me and Marcie put this thing together, or will this video never see the light of day? Stay tuned.
So you started folding the main hull, and you've attached the neck that holds the saucer section.
And then the next part we're going to be putting on, we believe, is the supports for the warp engines. Let's see how much of a mess we can make of that. Just using a standard cutter here to cut through the metal. I think anything else would be gross overkill. Oops, we almost got this part out already. I hate working with Photo-Etch. Okay, parts out. So we better look at the instructions, see which way this is supposed to fold. Right, that's supposed to go towards the outside. So these little venty things, they look like they go towards the outside. Okay, yeah. Make sure you know which way you're supposed to fold it before you start folding it, because you can only fold these things so many times. We bent our tabs and started folding the engine supports upwards before we were supposed to, and then we realized we had it totally backwards. Now we hope we've corrected it. And as you can see, if we look at it, these engine vents should go down, and then there's some sides that had to be folded up first.
Which we did completely wrong.
Yeah, we did completely wrong. But hopefully we can get this attached to the main body and nothing breaks off. Yeah, it looks good to me.
It's done.
Alright, so the next bit, I believe, is the stand. We'll get it cut out, and it attaches somewhere on the underside. Oh, here we are. It'll attach down here, thusly. Stay tuned.
So after much pain and difficulty, we finally got the stand pieces in that connected to the stand. So yeah, we think we got it in the right way this time.
It's looking good.
Yeah, can you tell what it is?
any moment now, it's gonna come together, we hope. Kinda cylindrical-ish. We got the stand pointing down, and we're working on the back here. This has to swing up and slot A through tab B.
With great difficulty.
While lining up with tab D. It's kind of looking together.
So we've put the stern in place.
And the hangar doors.
And the hangar doors.
Starting to look a little bit like the main hull. Next is going to be, flip it over, all these tabs there had to be folded in now. For what reason, I don't know. We'll find out. Alright, before going farther, we rounded out the hull as much as we could with a drill bit by kind of squishing it along. These little tabs you see all along here, they're only going to be bent in just slightly, I guess, to give that cigar effect. We're trying to put the navigational dish together here. Just flip it over so we can see it. It's looking dish-like. Just trying to fold over the tabs on the back side of it.
You don't want to try this at home.
We are trained professionals. While you're doing that, I'll show off your awesome bending work on the front. So it's actually not looking too bad. It's looking like the one in the store, sort of. Once we install the beaters here at the front, and we can put a little bowl of pudding in there or cake mix. Some sort of I think it's time to unload the camera. Attach that collar onto the navigational array, or the deflector dish, whichever you want to call it. I've heard it called both. Is that supposed to be a twisty connection or a foldy connection? Oh, it says no. It says a twisty connection. See?
Oh, okay.
See, there's a little triangle. Means it's a twisty connection.
I already folded one.
Oh. Well, the first ones I did on there were supposed to be twisty as well.
It doesn't make sense that it'd be twisty because it like shows.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Carry on.
I will.
Instructions? We don't need no stinking instructions. Connected it to the main hull. A little bit of a split there in the dish we gotta fix, but it's not looking too bad. You almost think we have some vague idea what we're doing. And of course, because our workshop is so large, the dog has to be in here helping us out. Notice how he has strategically placed himself to be as much help as possible. So the next part is we have to do these engine nacelles. These have to be turned into tubes. Not much can go wrong with that. Okay, I got my engine nacelle rolled here. Focus. If this was focused, you'd see how awesome it was. Marcie is currently using a drill bit to get hers round. They put these in the instructions. They show these circles. I don't know why they just don't tell you, get a drill bit of this size, and then you would know. That would be of supreme assistance to tell you what size drill bit to use to roll these things up on. Oh, Marcie's just putting together one of these, I think they're called Bassard collectors or something. And those little weird red whirly things that go on the front of the engines. That's what they look like put together. Be nice if I focused on it. Yeah, it's looking awesome. Expose the exhaust from the warp engines. Alright, we've been busy. I built one nacelle. Marcie built the other. And there we go. And then they're supposed to attach onto these wing things.
We already mutilated them a bit.
That's right,
but,
yeah. So
it's good now.
Hopefully we don't bend them up too much, because I don't know how many times this thing can bend again.
So, it accidentally broke off one of the nacelles while putting this one on. So that's kind of a problem.
So
it's in a tab piece. It was like attached to this, so it bent off.
To be honest, we kind of figured this was going to happen when we bent that first part the wrong way. Well, we'll just have to try to solder it back on later. Carrying on with the mayhem.
So we've got the bridge done.
Yeah, and then that'll go on top of this fantastically crafted part here. The underside of the saucer is put together. See, so we're not totally incompetent.
Only mostly.
I'm thinking probably before we attach the saucer to the main neck, maybe we'll finish the stand, and that'll make it easier to solder the engine support back on before we add any more to this thing. Okay, the reason we haven't shown you me soldering this on is it's not soldering on. So we're going to clean up this one, and then I think what we'll do is this hollow spot, we'll maybe fill that with a piece of plastic, super glue it in, and then we'll try super gluing it on the other side. Because Old Reliable here doesn't seem to be producing enough heat to get that to stick on. So after our total fail at soldering, and my best guess is probably my soldering iron wasn't generating enough heat, and the heat that was going into the parts was just going off in all directions. Basically, the model was absorbing the heat and dissipating it faster than the soldering iron could put it in there for a successful solder. Maybe if I had a higher wattage soldering iron, or maybe a micro flame or something like that. Let's get the plumbing torch out. So we're going to change the order a bit. We're going to put the saucer section on, get that all put together, because if we're going to try to super glue this on, it's probably going to be the weakest joint the world has ever seen. I don't think we want to handle it too much after that. We're going to do the saucer section next.
It's extremely fidgety.
So you just get 4 things lined up at once and hold them there while you use your 3rd and 4th hands to fold over the tabs. I'm sure the 6-year-old Chinese kid who puts together the display models, I'm sure they don't have this much trouble.
My hair's stuck.
Just record our progress before we break anything else off. And in there you can see the tabs have been bent over. At first we bent them towards each other, then they interfered with each other. I'm sure if you did like maybe 2 or 3 of these, they'd be really awesome by the time you got to the 3rd one. Maybe they should give you 3 sets of parts. Here's an idea. Alright, let's get the saucer, the top section on. It should fit perfectly because it's just relying on me randomly bending those things up straight. It should fit perfectly. Oh, it goes in that way. Ooh.
In what way? This way? I'm doing
Well, I thought the tabs went through the top of the saucer. It turns out the tabs come out of the top through the ends, the bits that have been bent out. And not much ever can go wrong with that.
It's really difficult to get them both in at once.
Then you get a 3rd one to go in.
4.
4. Oh, well. Yeah, that's not the way I would have designed that. We'll let the dog do it off camera. Because after all, he's here helping. It's a good thing we had the dog here, because he stuck his tongue out way, way far and had a lot more dexterity than we did. So the 4 tabs now are folding down. So the key for when you build yours is...
get someone to do it for you.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm all for that. Now, the tabs that are coming off the top of the section, kind of bend those down maybe at a 45 degree. And you might have to adjust all of the angled pieces on the bottom part of the dish. It does eventually go on. Marcie's just finishing folding these over. And I think that's the last major piece we have, except for gluing on that warp nacelle, as we try to avoid a total fail here. Alright, so we're getting ready to put that warp nacelle on. It now wants to lean forward like this, basically away from the missing part. I don't know, maybe we'll prop up the saucer section and then prop up the nacelle when we glue it. Or maybe we'll just hold everything with our hands and stand here for 20 or 30 minutes while the medium super glue goes off. We'll see. Maybe we'll get the dog to film while we do it. Total fail number 2. As I feared, there's not really enough meat on the end of this for even a medium super glue to grab onto. So I think we're going to put a little dab of contact cement on. Hopefully that will give it enough strength to hold it in place, and then we'll add super glue to it later, and then it can just sit and go off properly, and maybe that will hold it together. So we've put a little bit of this contact cement on both parts. This contact cement seems to go off pretty quickly. I think it's something like 15 odd minutes or something like that. It's not like the old toxic stuff. Well, I guess it is toxic, but the older stuff, this stuff is supposed to be latex.
So we've just contact cemented the nacelle on, and it's staying. So that's like our first success of this entire model.
So we're just going to leave this alone for a while. Once the contact cement is set a little bit better, we're going to end up putting some medium gap filling super glue on there, and that'll help to create a fillet and hopefully hold it on there. It's never going to be what you'd call a strong model, But hopefully it'll look closer to the Enterprise rather than, what, the Constitution after taking on the Doomsday Machine.
So we've reinforced the nacelle with some glue, and the stand has some glue in it so that it's not top heavy or anything.
I think the very fact that we got it together is a win. The details on the back of the nacelles aren't on really super well. I think the key with this kit is you're supposed to look at it and say, oh, that's made out of flat metal. Cool. The important thing is we had some fun putting it together. And this is going to go up in Marcie's room and probably go on one of her shelves. And I suppose if I went to put one of these things together another time, I'd probably be a little better at it. Probably so would Marcie. So.
Another key is to look ahead in the instructions so you know what to do.
Yes. Keep in mind you can only fold this metal once or twice. And that's what went wrong with the nacelles. These flat metal kits certainly are a challenge. But when you're putting one together, you know you're not going to be ending up with a 100% accurate representation. The idea is it's, you know, it's building something that's a complex shape out of flat metal. And they do look kind of cool. Thanks for watching this episode of Dan's Model Works and Marcie's Model Mayhem. And see you next time.